Welcome back to the last and final matchup of day one of the Pacific Championship Series. It's going to be between J-Team and Machi X, the third and fourth place teams coming in on summer and guaranteed to be a banger. But first, we have to thank our sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chonghua Telecom for making PCS possible. And now we head on into the matchup. This one is filled with history and a lot of rivalry, as well as we saw J-Team in Spring Split actually taking away Mission, the previous best player of Machi X, and Machi X fielding a bunch of rookies but still being able to best J-Team in the end. So a very unexpected twist of events, and after an offseason, we might be seeing Machi X go even further and surpass Mission and J-Team.
Yeah, for the side of Machi, they've assembled a very good roster, and being able to finish where they did definitely bodes well coming into summer. And one of the things that we were kind of talking about during the break was this meta right now when it comes to jungle really favors the side of Machi and really does not favor the side of Taipei J-Team. So I'm looking for Gemini to really take it to Hana in this game. And I mean, Gemini, he's just such a juggernaut as well when it comes to these carry junglers.
True, the difference could not be larger between Hana and Gemini. Machi X has played around Gemini as a main carry. We saw the Talia compositions come out. And I just have one question here about these players. Why does Lil V have clearly the best camera? It's not even close. Like, you can see the pores on his face. He's got perfect skin. The rest of them, not so much, you know. I think Lil V has definitely been using video conference a bit more than the rest of his teammates.
Apparently, it was
on the other hand, Machi
cam.
Esports. Sorry about that tangent. I just noticed all the details. We have a nice hair do-over by Jimia in here. Very different look. A little bit more punkish. I like it. Lee Kai in the top lane. Gemini, the old guard, basically the big veteran on this team. And then Atlan plus Koala in the bottom side.
Yeah, this is a team that really showed up. Gemini really popping off here, as he also did last year as well. And not many changes here coming in for Machi, although they did announce that D is available as an AD carry option. So I don't know what the deal is with that one, but perhaps D, getting a little bit bored in the coaching booth, decides that he wants another go at it.
D has been so important to the scene. He brought up so many players from high school, you know, Patience and Lee Kai. They all used to play under his tutelage on high school teams, but I'd be kind of surprised if he came back for another try at it. Definitely feels like they're trying to, you know, hand over the reins to the next generation, as we see Atlan frozen in time. He seems to be the new face of Machi in terms of the AD carry position. However, we have to be quite honest about the situation. Machi definitely still has a weakness in that bot lane in terms of laning, in terms of team fight. Not really able to have the same caliber of output compared to guys like Dago and Unify higher in the standings. We're going to be heading straight into the ban picks right here. J-Team straight off the bat, respecting Jimian's Assassin. This is what this guy is known for. He plays pretty much split pushers, doesn't play a lot of mages, and they're going to make sure that Gemini also doesn't get the big carry in Diana as well. On the flip side, Machi banning out Corki. I'm not sure about this one. Pretty interesting. Not sure we've seen a Corki the entire day, but he's going to be taken out, leaving Viego still up.
It definitely might signal that Machi are perhaps looking for an Azir, because that's really all I can really think of. Perhaps looking for the neutralize answers to Victor or the Azir if they want to go for it in this first phase. But Viego will be that standard first pick. That's not been a question this entire day so far. So it's a little bit curious why you would ban Corki but not Viego. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Corki, we have seen Mission play Corki. It has been one of his strongest champions in the past, but it really doesn't seem like a meta pick at this point. So we're gonna have to find out later on that one. Gwen is gonna be selected. Lee Sin and Gwen, very flexible in positions. Not a huge fan of Gwen jungle, but we have seen a lot of it in the LPL just as a kind of nice place to tuck that power pick away. In the backside here, we do see Nash, a former Chinese caster here, and now working for J-Team, trying to be a good analyst for the team. He's definitely nodding to this LeBlanc pick, and we see 2 assassins in the composition already being selected for J-Team. Plus ooh, this one's spicy. I like this pick. Ziggs really shooting up the tier list. A lot of European teams taking this one. Have a smattering of it in the LPL and the LCK as well.
Yeah, Ziggs definitely a good pick in the meta. I'm not super sure about taking it this early in the draft, but again, because you're taking it at the end of the first phase, you do have a couple of ways to help it out in going ahead and double ban in that second phase. For Machi, their answer is, well, let's just go ahead, get this TF. It offers a lot of extra pressure when it comes to playing towards these side lanes, and perhaps that's a way to get this Gwen snowballing or this Lee Sin, depending on what champion Lee Kai decides to take into that top side.
Yep, the Machi X, they do have still have the counter pick here, so there's a lot of different champions that they could kind of shove around. I guess not really in this draft. It's still going to be bottom side for them, for Atlan and Koala. Kind of interesting to see what Atlan is going to play in this environment. Atlan has been a bit of an afterthought. It's been more of a weak side for Machi X, so kind of curious to see them, giving him the counter pick here. We'll see what he actually goes into. Meanwhile, J-Team, they still have their jungler and a support to go into, potentially a top lane as well. And we're just gonna have to find out where they want to go with this composition. It feels like to me, J-Team is going for a dive comp that doesn't have to play around AD carry whatsoever. Ziggs is just kind of it's kind of a pick that you can kind of forget about. He's very safe on his own, has massive range, and you just leave him be.
Yeah, and the big thing also is the fact that he can help with some of those resets, being able to toss out that Mega Inferno Bot. If you're able to just get that ult out in some of these tighter choke points, it just lays out so much damage to allow Rest to get those resets if he is the one to take the Viego, or if Hana is the one to take the Viego. But for Machi X, they go ahead, lock in the Leona. Leona is going to provide extra engaged power, also really to try and apply pressure onto this Ziggs pick, but I don't know what they really pair with it. This lane really just screamed to me Ezreal, but Ezreal Leona, not exactly a highlight lane, so they might just look to have Koala roam as early as possible.
Ooh, the Trundle pick, maybe, please? I love the Trundle pick. Come on, come on. Fiora might be another one that we have seen some people try to take into the Gwen. But it is going to be Gnar, a bit of a throwback pick.
Okay.
Not really that popular these days. So we have Viego Jungle coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, Rest, he has traditionally just been a Gnar player, right? He loves playing that Gnar pick, and as expected, it will be the Ezreal. So, Lil V, Atlan, it's pretty much a solo lane, because they're going to be farming bot lane by themselves, and it will be these supports trying to make plays. You can already see it in their summoner spells, Clement. They both have teleport. We're in for a bit of a snooze fest bot lane, but it's going to be exciting everywhere else.
And the Lee Kai, also pretty interesting, is going to take the Ghost instead of the Flash or the Ignite against the Gnar matchup. It wants a bit more of that catch-up potential against the ranged mini Gnar form. So just taking a look at these compositions, they're rather interesting. We have a lot of single target burst coming out on the side of Machi X. This does fit their style a little bit more. They are sort of this split pushing and tempo team composition, a lot of picks, not really known for their team fighting 5v5 prowess. On the other hand, J-Team, I do think they have a bit of a better 5v5 team composition, but they're also trying to leverage LeBlanc and Viego, the double assassins, in the mid jungle. So a bit of everything on both sides, and I think this is just reflective of a meta that really plays around power picks and just kind of forgets about 80 carries in the bot lane. Like, you guys have limited lifespan anyway. Your expectancy is probably like 6 seconds or lower in the team fight. So, you know, just stay safe. Let the rest of the guys do the job.
Yeah, for these bot lane champions, it's really about, can you add value from a long distance, or do you just have a bunch of survivability that you can be left to your own devices without needing too much attention? And that's kind of the case here for both the Ziggs and the Ezreal, as it's all about this top half of the map, as it feels like it's been all day, and we are going to see Gwen retake the Rift after she did vanish after the first 2 games.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check in on that matchup. You know, in this matchup, I think needlework is very crucial. Whether you can get those slows, land them in consecutive fashion, and get the burst damage down. I haven't seen Gnar that popular on the Rift for quite a while. It doesn't really get that much damage out of Divine Sunderer now that the nerf has came through on 11.13. But we'll see how the matchup actually does end up going. 5-point split on the early side, and I wonder if we're going to see that same move from LeBlanc's we've been seeing all day, just the nice distortion pop in. I really like that move. There basically is no counter level 1, so you know, hope everyone just does that.
Yeah, it's just a really nice, easy level 1 invade tactic for LeBlanc that no one else can really pull off, but it looks like it
actually is going to get chased down here. Not much is going to come.
Well, not much out of that, unfortunately. But interestingly enough, if we look at the rune selection, though, not too much across the board, but then you look at that Gnar. He's got Hail of Blades, Clement, so he's looking for a lot of these early auto trades.
Yep, goes in, procs his hyper passive, and can just walk out after that. That's actually pretty interesting. He's not really seeing Lee Kai throwing back a lot of damage. You know, we've seen a lot of fleet footwork, a lot of grass, but this one definitely a bit on the rare side for the Gnar. See if Rest can pilot that one. Rest, of course, is our BM king. Whenever he does have a lead, he likes to flash his emotes, and he has a wide range of emotes to use. The white flag is his favorite, but I also like the Tom Kench, thinking about his next scheme. A lot of variance there. He definitely knows how to get under players' skin, and I find that quite enjoyable to watch. Just a bit of a tangent there.
And I mean, especially when it comes to younger players too, some of those emotes can definitely get under your skin if you do have it left open, right? Just the spam gets a little bit annoying there, so it's either up to him to just mute emotes, or it's up to him to have thick enough skin to throw it right back at him.
I love regions that allow emotes all game. This is the best. We're seeing a bit of a damage edge coming out from Lil V. This is the reason why Ziggs has been so popular, is he has 1400 range on Q. He outranges the Ezreal by 300, isn't really afraid of going into a poke war, and has a lot of survivability. So in the meantime, Mission, let's see what start he had. I believe it was still another Corrupting Potion start. Getting a good amount of damage onto Jimian already without any potions. So this is what Mission is known for. This is why he was known as the best mid laner for a while here, just being able to constantly chunk down other mid laners in the laning phase alone.
Yeah, and LeBlanc is going to have that in this TF lane, as TF just doesn't have a whole lot of dual potential. His goal is just to try and survive as long as possible and make sure he hits 6 without being too far behind, and then start making plays elsewhere on the map. And I mean, when it comes to elsewhere on the map, it really just comes down to top lane, because you're not really ganking a Ziggs and you're not really ganking for an Ezreal here in this setup, and it's all about the young gun in Lee Kai.
Yeah, Lee Kai really showed himself to be a very competent split pusher. He was great on Camille in the previous split. I felt like he was one of those players that was going to benefit the most in this swap to majority fighter meta. But Rest seems to have his number in this matchup so far, doing a great job. He's already up about 1 wave in CS. I think Gnar, still great in lane, but the problem is it's very hard to utilize in a skirmish-heavy team fighting sort of meta. So we'll see if they can still have the same efficiency when they get out of laning phase.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you go for something like the Hail of Blades, it means you have to sacrifice on the runes, right? You're not going to have the extra sustain or durability when it comes to your secondary tree, as usually you go precision and resolve, so that's just a lot of sustain or just a lot of survivability. So you're going to have to sacrifice one of those. I forget what he took for a secondary tree.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a closer look at that one further down the line. But for now, you know, Lee Kai still holding his own in lane okay-ish. It's down about 10 CS, but yeah, seems fine. We are going to get a pretty slow game, you know, everyone just kind of waiting for 6 in this one.
Yeah, everyone waiting for the first point of action to get started. Of course, we're only 5 minutes into the game, so it's not too surprising, but if you're expecting action to happen in the bot lane, let me pop that bubble real quick, because it's not. It's Ezreal, it's Ziggs. This is pretty much just gated by mana. If they're out of mana, they go and recall, and then they teleport, and they go back to killing minions.
Yep. Just waiting on that level 6 to finally drop here for both teams. We should be expecting some action in the top side. I feel like there is more pressure on Machi X's side to actually make a trip up there, relieve some of that pressure from Lee Kai, and make sure he can actually use this Ghost to kind of snowball. Gemini is going to start the push, and I love this play from the junglers. It's going to free Jimian to roam across the map, and they instantly disappear in towards the bottom side, prompting a lot of pings coming out from J-Team. Looks like it's just going to be a Drake take, though.
Yeah, not a bad option here if you threaten the dive into that bot side, but then go straight over to the dragon. It's still a nice little objective, and even more importantly, it is a cloud here, which is so helpful for that first TF ultimate here. He gets the extra ability haste, and that's going to help out a lot in making sure his second one comes online very quickly.
It was pretty standard play overall, but we now see this topside trade potentially developing. Usually we call this the Silk Road behind the red buff. We have the pink there already, so if LeBlanc wants to counter roam, he does have that option. Probably going to try and snowball Rest a little bit more on the top side. And they have full pings onto Gemini's position, so J-Team definitely planning their next move. I feel like at this point, both of the junglers probably trying to free up the mid lane just a little bit. This is something that Machi X has done a lot better than J-Team. It's just their coordination between Jimian and Gemini has been superior to that of Mission versus Hana, and that's pretty much the reason why they were able to trump against them in the playoffs. Now we see Gemini coming in for the trade. Lee Kai already topping the Ghost. The Dragon Fate coming for the kill.
TF swoops on in, gets that first blood, but what an execution coming in from Machi. Gemini coming in with a very good play there, uses the flash, uses the kick, and sets everything up so perfectly for G-Man to swoop in and finish off that kill. That's going to help out a lot in just freeing up this TF so much faster and allow them to really apply further pressure onto this Gnar.
That's just great play. I really wonder how he was able to do things from A-Team calmly, but still to reach around and make sure to get to that top lane before anybody could stop him. Gemini on the brink of getting a steal right here, loses the resonance, and J-Team able to pick away that objective. Didn't have to rotate up at all. So now MCX do have a counter punch to do what they want in the bottom side. This is a very slow, methodical game, and as a I do prefer these in comparison to slugfests.
It is a little bit nice, relaxing pace, especially compared to that last game. So it's a nice little contrast. We don't have to really break down how surprising some of these solo kills are, right? Coming in from the Heimerdinger. We can just kind of sit back, enjoy ourselves, and really allow... Okay, well, cut off by the pause, but you know, we get to be talk a little bit more about how these teams play out rather than just getting sucked into the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a slow, grindy game for sure, and I think the next Herald push is going to be huge coming in from J-Team right here. You know, this is their chance to kind of coalesce and really use that range advantage and push it toward the forefront. They have that Gnar, they have the LeBlanc, and if you look at those matchups, they should be able to outdo in terms of poke. So I'm really curious on where they're going to drop this one. Where do you think this Herald is going to go?
I think whenever you get an early Herald, it really has to come into the Ziggs lane, right? Because if you get the charge down and if you have enough damage put down onto the turret, you can easily execute the rest of the turret with that Ziggs W. So you can easily get our first tower very, very quickly. And it just comes down to how they set up to make sure that they have enough damage to get it low enough for that charge plus explosive charge, or I forget what the satchel charge.
Yeah, you can instantly take towers down below 25% health. I believe they actually buffed it a little bit more. Lekai right now going pretty aggressive in this lane, trying to get some snips down, but Rest holding his rage bar well and just continuing the Teemo spam. This is exactly what Rest does best. He says, hey, you cheated. You didn't play the 1v1 till the end, so I get to emote spam you until the end of your days.
Yeah, he didn't respect the first rule of top lane, which is it's a 1v1, and now he's brought in his jungler once again.
Beautiful cover from Gemini. Nothing's going to happen. Rest knows about this. He has the ward in the back, and he's going to give another thumbs down to the duo. Gemini has not left, but he's going to be wasting a lot of time here. I almost feel like Rest's BM strategy is working.
He's got them on tilt. He's now thrown the extra ward as well, so no matter what kind of play they try and make up at his top side, he's got it fully red here. So well done from Rest, having the situation completely down perfectly.
In the meantime, we did have a bit of a push into the bottom side. Machi X's bot lane did have to leave and make sure they didn't get pincered down, but Hana is going to come in for another try, and they do have the TP on the top side as well, so this could be a 4v2 dive instantly. We do see Gemini in position to dissuade that play from happening. He does catch wind of Hana, throws out the Sonic Wave, and J-Team thinks better about their aggression into the bottom side. Twisted Fate could join in an instant, so they're still waiting on this one. And we only have one kill so far. Very, very slow game in this one. Hana not really being able to drop anything either. I kind of want to ask you, but who do you favor if this game does drag out to like the 30-minute to 40-minute mark?
Yeah, I definitely would favor the amount of raw damage coming out from Machi just a little bit more. Yes, you have the reset potential from Hana and also the team fight power from Rest, but at a certain point, Gwen comes online and it becomes incredibly frustrating to play. They're going to try and group mid to try and see if they can get an execution range, but all they get is one charge, and unfortunately it's split up, I believe, across all 4 members. So not even being able to funnel gold into a particular member means that it's a little bit unfortunate for that Rift Herald charge.
Pretty interesting that Machi actually preemptively TP'd Lee Kai down from the top lane and set up for this Drake. In the meantime, we are going to get some free plates for rest, but I don't think that's going to change much on the map just yet. A little bit more gold into his pocket up on the Gnar. In the meantime, we do see Mission being chased up upon. He doesn't want to take this 1v3, and he has a very easy escape. So again, nothing really going to happen there, but just some gold traded back and forth. Machi X, though, with that Drake stack, does mean they're looking at a 23-minute soul on the table if they so choose to pick up the tempo. It's going to be a bit difficult for J-Team to respond to.
Yeah, and this is actually a really, really early Ocean Soul if it does come to fruition, which means J-Team, they have to contest around one of the next 2 dragons. And if they do get their hands onto that Ocean Soul, like, how are you going to be able to kill targets like the Gwen and like that Ezreal? It becomes a nigh impossible task. There's so much sustain, so much damage just constantly coming down from them, and that means for J-Team, they have to look to try and make a play sooner rather than later.
Oh, we do see the ultimate used by Koala here, but doesn't actually manage to catch anyone, and J-Team able to back out quite easily. They do have full vision on the bottom side. They're going to continue their offense here.
And on the flip side, we do get to see a steal coming in from Gemini, being able to take away that blue buff. And J-Team, they really want to make this bot lane miserable. And at the same time, for Machi, they're perfectly fine conceding that first turret just because there isn't a bunch of extra plates. They go ahead, get themselves this Rift Herald, and hopefully that will allow them to get a little bit more gold onto Lee Kai. Perhaps snowball it into 2 towers up top if they're able to find a pick with G-Man. But one of the key factors is G-Man, he only has ulted once in this first 15 minutes, and I feel like that's not enough if you are playing that TF. Oh, well, it does look like we might have lost Clement there, and for the time being, it looks like I'm getting some extra duty, right? Getting a little bit of play-by-play in, but so far, it's a bit of a slow game still. 16 minutes into the game, we have Twisted Fate now completing that Everfrost. That's going to help in the pick potential. Just continuing to further their ability to find picks with this Leona and the Twisted Fate. And on the flip side for J-Team, it's about clearing these waves. And thankfully, they've got a Ziggs, probably one of the best wave clear champions in the game ever of all time, and that means that Rest, he's going to be able to go ahead, sit on the side along with Mission. So it should be a good time here. As welcome back, Clement. Maybe. No, not quite.
Whoa, as we go back straight into the action, Hana is going to open fire onto Lee Kai, prompting the needlework immediately, and he's going to just slip and slash out of there. So dodges out on a 4-man collapse. Meanwhile, Atlan gets picked out. This should not happen, as he is 4v1 on the bottom side. That was a bit careless by Atlan, going too close to Mission.
Yeah, I got a little bit too close to the sun there, but will be able to retain his life. And Machi, they're gonna enjoy this lower style game here, as it will be a tower in that bot side. Tower trades on opposite ends. It will be J-Team getting top tower and Machi getting that bottom tower, but J-Team still holding the 1 turret lead. as they also have a minor gold lead because of it.
Also, very interesting build from Atlan. Pretty different from what we've seen all day long. Oh, and a bit of a catch from Mission as he fires back and prompts the perfect timing away from Koala. The fight continues as both teams are trying to disengage, but Woody is in way over his head. Is the first one to drop right before the Drake is about to come up as well. So this could drastically change things as Lee Kai doesn't have his TP. Mission going in for more poke. Lee Kai still trying to get some damage onto Rest, but does not come out ahead of this one. J-Team desperately trying to break the Drake train right here, and Gemini going in for some assassination. Doesn't land the Q. He does have the flash. He walks in, but doesn't find the smite. So great play from J-Team. They secure the objective. They lose the support, but the poke is enough to make sure that they have a late game to play for.
And that's massive, being able to steal away that dragon, stall out that soul. Just another 5 minutes, because look at how dominating that Gnar has been. It's been able to get a really nice CS advantage, and that means for the side of J-Team, they need him to just keep on applying that pressure in that 1v1 and then hopefully rotate over with that Mega Gnar, find those picks with that big Mega Gnar. As we get to see the replay, they thought they caught out the Leona, but then Gemini, great flank, gets the kick, and Woody at that point in time, he's just offered to disengage for the rest of his team.
Well, goodbye G-Mian, knows that he's dead, doesn't even use the flash right there, and that's just the power of the side lane catch. Rested, I don't think he even really needed his strike breaker to make that one work. In the meantime, Gemini is the new target here as, okay, actually pretty good footwork there. Lil V only able to get one Q off onto the Lee Sin. Uses ult on Atlan, takes half his HP, and Mission comes in from the side. This is getting really difficult for Machi X to actually deal with here. They don't have the strong engage to lock down a lot of these slippery targets. Gemini trying to wait on the side, gets a 3-man kick, but not the engage that he was looking for. And Rest is just dancing around. I'm surprised he's not BMing them more because he's been playing out of his mind.
Rest has indeed just been really playing so well here, as we are going to see the player gold being pulled up onto the side here, and G-Mian as does a TF. Well, he gets so much extra gold from his passive, so he's currently on top of the gold charts, but a lot of J-Team not too far behind. And part of that is also the fact that they have an ever so slight gold advantage, and really when it comes to these teamfight setups, side of Machi, they have to be really decisive when it comes to these plays, because the poke is definitely there for J-Team. Mission, he can play more of a poke style, being able to jump back and forth, the poke coming in from Ziggs with those bouncing bombs, and then of course the boomerang coming in from this Gnar. And on the flip side, you don't have a lot of poke tools. You've got Atlan, and that's it.
Yeah, Machi X have a very difficult to execute composition. I think this is one of those comps you play if you know that you're solidly better than your opposition. Most of it is single target crowd control. If you look at G-Mian, he doesn't really have damage at all. He's pretty much just a catch tool, so...
yeah. It's a lot of CC, though.
It's true, it's a lot of crowd control, but in the late game, this is very hard to execute. However, Mission is going to make it slightly easier for them. Rest on the backside just finds Atlan out of nowhere. Atlan doesn't even burn his flash, just dies immediately. What happened there? Koala is next, but Gemini with the burst combo takes one back for the team. That was insane to watch here. Lee Kai still in the hollow path, is able to cut and snip his way to another kill. Dodges out on the stun, and G-Mian comes back in the side. What the hell did they do to make this work? This is insane for Machi X. They lose their 80 carry, but it doesn't even matter. They even walk out of the fray.
And what an escape coming in from Machi. They find the kills, but they also are able to just walk out, no questions asked. And unfortunately, Atlan does fall. We're going to see the replay. They're kind of just all spread out here, and Hana, he looks for an opening, and they just immediately pounce on Atlan. But on the flip side, Koala Gemini gets a brilliant kick here. And yeah, now Lee Kai's here, and well, Gwen doing Gwen things.
Yeah, the hollowed mist keeping him alive. He even got the extra resistances over the wall, keeping him very, very healthy. Oh, not very, very healthy. Down to 100 HP for a long time. And Jimian finally funnels in. This play really started with Mission mispositioning on the top side. You know, gives an easy catch to the Twisted Fate, and Machi X just piling in. Even without their AD carry, they're able to make that work. I'm really surprised that with Atlan dying before even throwing out his ult, they still won. I guess AD carries really don't matter after all.
Yeah, and that's why for J-Team, they don't even have an AD carry. They've got a Ziggs. And now it looks like they're going to try and contest for this dragon.
Rest going for the steal, but he's not going to be able to outsmite a Lee Sin. The fight is on double stun onto the front line. Jimian tops down into the stasis. The Lee Kai finds a perfect opening into the back line. They're going to trade supports right here, but they will lose a little bit more. Lil V finds himself up the ramp, has a perfect position to just open up on the remaining members of Machi X, and it will be a 1-for-2 trade in the favor of J-Team. They are trying to get a little bit more, and Atlan has to TP out.
Nice little TP out, but it's still a big summoner burned by that Ezreal. And yeah, the Lee Kai and Gemini had a really nice flank angle for that team fight, but they just got stuck on Woody the entire time. They couldn't burst him down fast enough, and that means on the flip side for the rest of J-Team, they're able to just finish off the rest of the team and then just fall back afterwards. Nice hook, lands on Koala, and Jimian, that's the real pick there. They're able to CC Jimian, he's stuck, he has to use the stasis, and yeah, they're able to mop up very quickly afterwards. Lil V gets a nice little bouncing bomb to finish off that Twisted Fate, and they get a kill on the back end, but does it really matter if it's only onto the Nautilus?
I've got to say, that was some very beautiful kiting coming in from J-Team. They use the ramp so well. They go up the ramp to protect their back line, and then jump back over the ramp to choose which side of the fight that they're going to take. They get the extra kills here, and honestly, coordination is not something that J-Team has been able to outplay Machi X in the past, but that was really well done. I'm fairly impressed with that fight going forward. Now Jimian seems like he has another catch onto Lil V without the flash. Lil V is able to use the Zhonya's hook, does not land, goes a little bit wide. It seems like we are going to get a disengage right after this. Okay, so no, nobody has any more ammunition to keep this fight going.
Yeah, and while they do have inside track onto the mid lane.
Oh, Rest goes in, but isn't able to find the stun. Atlan again gets his flash forced away, though.
Quick on the trigger finger, will be able to save his life, though, and that's really important because it means that this Baron buff isn't immediately going to get turned upon, although Koala is all by himself for some reason.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be as a Marsupial. We do have Lee Kai going over the wall, but this does feel like a bit of a lost cause. He then goes back into his own team. That was such a smart play from Lee Kai. Actually getting a lot of HP bars from J-Team, and that's going to mean J-Team can't turn. Even with the extra member, they can't do Baron.
Yeah, and once again, it's these narrow margins that allow Machi to stay in this game, even with some of these curious plays coming in, such as Koala just walking and taking all those honey fruits, just pretty much in clear sight without anyone around. So bit of a blunder there, but it will reset the map, and it looks like everything is going to come down to this next dragon in 90 seconds. Jimian, though, could die.
Yeah, we do have a lot of damage coming in from Mission at this point. He also has some friends with him. Jimian doesn't have any of the crucial summoners. Pops the exhaust, but as you said, he is a complete goner. However, Lee Kai is going to try and avenge him right here. Gold card comes down from Hana. And very nifty move, and Rest tries to BM the rest of Machi X. I love when Rest BMs. I know some players don't like it, but I love it when BMers get punished, and I also like it when BMers, you know, do kind of silly plays and stuff like that. So it's a win-win regardless for the viewers, and we should encourage it, in my view. In my view.
I mean, it's basically trash talking without the actual trash talk, right?
It's not
so,
that toxic.
I'm all for it.
It's mildly toxic. Oh, that's a decent play from Gemini, but an even better hop away from Rest. Let's get out of that sticky situation. He keeps a flash, too.
Keeps flash, and I mean, thankfully for the side of Machi, they still retain the flash onto this Lee Sin. And 28 minutes into the game, we've only had 13 kills. Definitely a much slower paced game compared to all the other ones today. And it's really all about this dragon that is pretty much up and available.
They have noticed Atlan is not running any sustain in his build, so if he takes poke, he's out of the fray. You know, he has to wait and back again, but we do have the Destiny Gate being popped right here. Machi X trying to find a flank to get themselves this Dragon Soul. It will be an Ocean, which is massive against the poke composition. They don't really find the flanking angle just yet. Lee Kai is going to try and hurt on the other side. J-Team decide to engage, but Everfrost means that they can't jump on anyone. And J-Team are stuck in a pretty awkward situation. Rest is about to run out of Mega Gnar. In comes the engage right here. Viego does secure the Ocean Drake, and the rest of his team once again funnels up onto the ramp, leaving Rest alone though. Rest is gonna fall down, and Gemini is still pretty healthy. Going into the backline, that's a 3-man Arcane Barrage going into the fray as J-Team have to scatter and run away. How many members can they keep alive in this fight? Lee Kai is chasing with Scissors wide open. Doesn't find his next target, and J-Team got what they came for.
J-Team got what they wanted, and Machi unable to fully punish that play. As J-Team, they are able to secure themselves their second dragon and delay that Ocean Soul once more. And for Machi, we're going to see the replay of this fight. They have kind of the push and pull set up, but unfortunately Gemini doesn't hit the right timing when it comes to entering that pit, which means he's not going to be able to steal away that dragon. And while this peel comes in relatively well from J-Team, you're peeling towards the wrong area, right? You're peeling towards the opponent's base, not your own.
The next fight is going to be super decisive as we see all 10 players without summoners at this point. So everything basically burned off the table. Rest does get his back in time for the Baron Pit, but a lot of people will be dying, especially the backline here as we find Gemini into the back, trying to get an engage, but J-Team are able to back out in formation. So nothing really going on here. Gemini quickly trying to get some of his HP bar back, and this fight is heating up. This game is so tense, it's so on the line, where everyone is waiting for that big first team fight. Rest jumps in, Atlan jumps out, keeping himself safe. 31 minutes in, the lowest kill game we've had so far. And it just seems like everyone is fishing for an engage, but Woody puts himself way too far forward, has to flash out. Lee Kai's the new target, but he is in that payload miss, and he's not going to take that much damage. Uses all of his needlework on the front line, doesn't really get much of it, and once more J-Team are able to disengage. Machi X so far, they've been able to lock down targets that go into them a little bit too deep. Like, if Woody makes a mistake like that again, then Machi X will say thank you. But otherwise, they just haven't been able to lock anyone down.
This game has just been on an absolute razor's edge, and it does come down to who makes that first mistake, and it almost was Woody, but the side of Machi, they don't quite have enough damage yet. As I mean, even Jibian, like,
Gemini didn't see the Baron. He actually popped over the wall.
Yeah. He has an idea that it is going down, but yeah, they are going to have to now back off. So Gemini saving the game there with that ward.
Yeah, and we do have to mention that these days, you know, Smite fights are even more 50-50, as it doesn't really matter what level you are anymore. Everyone has the same kind of smite damage going into things. And J-Team looks like they're not really willing to try and chance the 50-50. Machi X, at this point, I think, you know, we are going to see just straight up 5v5, so I do want to see if Machi X can get a slow push in one of these side lanes. That would be really helpful. Machi X do still want to look for that pick, while J-Team, I feel like they're more comfortable in that sort of siege poke formation where all 5 of them are present.
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a lot of push and pull trying to set up side waves here. As we go into that next fight, Dragon up in 1 minute. Should be Machi, of course, really wanting to contest, but it's really all on their plate whether or not they do want to go and contest here, as they're going to try and set up flank angles. Likai, well, he's got to get out of jail for free card here with that miss.
Does get the gold card down full on, engage into the backline, and
wow,
Lil V disappears before he even ults. That was beautiful from Machi X. They are snipers on the rift. G-Man goes for even more into the enemy backline. They find Mission in this red buff, and out of nowhere, Machi X turned the fight on its head. Multiple kills, double objectives open to them. Machi X once again have J-Team's number.
And Machi at 34 minutes, they find a decisive fight, and now they're going to be able to turn, get themselves this Ocean Dragon, and that should also prompt them to just rotate over and claim themselves a Baron. So a massive gold swing and a massive win here for the side of Machi. It doesn't look like they want the full commit for that Baron though, as they're going to go ahead and get those recalls channeled. But they're in a prime position to go ahead and take that Baron buff when they choose to do so.
Let's watch that again as G-Man finds a chunk of damage. Well, that was just beautiful. 3 ults instantly to obliterate the backline. And I have to say, that was a bit of a missed position coming in from the other side, but we do have a big fight right on the red buff going down right now. Likai into the fray. Nobody can touch him, and Hana has to run for his life. Already Rest has died. The BM King is no more, and Machi X do have the Dragon Soul plus a very clear edge onto the Baron. Wow, J-Team held this close for so long, but just those 2 fights going into it have completely swung the game into Machi X's favor. They have the Destiny Gate, still looking for more, but not in range to catch up onto Woody.
Not going to be able to find that last kill onto Woody, but it does mean that they're going to just turn around for this Baron, and they do it way too quick. Even if the side of JT wanted to respond, they're not going to get there in time, as I feel like they're just kind of playing with finishing it off. They were a little bit worried that Hana would come around for a flank, but I mean, Rest, he gets the nice wombo setup with Lil V and his ult, but right after that, they're out. That burst of damage is all they got, because the LeBlanc doesn't have huge team fight presence unless if he goes for that double distortion and he doesn't go for it. He's not there.
Yeah, that was a very risky play by Rest. He was basically gambling that the rest of Machi X wasn't there. But surprise, surprise, Machi X actually were more goofed up than J-Team was. So they don't even get much contribution from Mission. Goes in and gets 1 Sigil of Malice, but that's pretty much it. Doesn't even get the kill on Gemini. So right now, Hana doing the split push duties, but I'm pretty sure that Machi X are happy with this trade. They push a lot faster compared to Hana.
They've got a Baron buff, and Hana, he's also a jungle, so he doesn't have the teleport to get back to his team. He's got to have to press that B button to get on back, which means a lot of space given over to Machi. Now that he's gotten the recall off, now they're looking to perhaps turn the tides. And an interesting build coming in from Atlan. He actually doesn't have a mythic, but given that, well, Divine Thunder did get nerfed, you're really fine with skipping the Triforce just because of the stats on Essence Weaver are really, really good just as a raw item.
And I do want to point out the build here. The Blade of the Rune, the Bloodthirster is pretty unique. Most Ezreals do go for Blade of the Rune King, but he just wants that extra shielding to stay alive. He doesn't want to face Mission in any brush. And if he does find Mission, he's making damn sure that with 2 shields, he is not going to die. So
and the
I like the build. Yeah, extra MR on top of that. This is I don't really care about doing max DPS, but I am going to make sure that I can clean these teamfights up.
I'm gonna save my KDA as well, you know? I'm all for playing for KDA. You know, marksman player. Just deal max damage, but I mean for Machi, they're just really tooling JT right now. They're playing these multi-lanes so wonderfully with this Baron buff, and now they're looking to try and hopefully crack a inhibitor. Otherwise, we're going to see an Elder Dragon fight in 100 seconds.
MCX continuing to dance around the base. They've been still pushing in 2 lanes and also just forcing Rest to chase them in their own jungle. And we see the problem with the Siege Poke team. They don't really have much engage. Neither side has a lot of engage, so whoever can push harder seems to be getting the upper edge in this matchup so far. And it's definitely the team like Machi that has the Baron buff that's going to come out ahead in this one.
Yeah, and Clement, against the Poke team, the best dragon in the game is Ocean. So with the double Ocean ticking and the Ocean Soul, they've just got so much built-in sustain. They aren't going to have issues playing against this Poke composition in elongated sieges.
Yeah, how is J-Team actually going to close out here? It's a really difficult puzzle to solve, and it will require a lot of execution either way. We do have the Elder coming up. I think if Machi tries to take this a little bit too early, then JT might be able to just waltz through their jungle. But you see right now, Machi X seems like they're trying to hold their ground. They're willing to fight this out inside the red side jungle of JT. Excuse me. Now J-Team going down the mid lane. They don't have any vision control on either side. G-Mian has already popped the ghost. He's going in. Res has been tagged down. Lee Kai chasing forward, and Gemini forces Woody to commit. Woody's going to be just destroyed in an instant. That's the 5v4. Needleworks going straight into the composition. Lil V has to flash out. Can they take down Lee Kai before the Zhonya's? No! He survives, and the rest of the team is able to chase up. Atlan with this build is going to go even further. Rest is about to drop, and so does Mission with the Ignite. That will be the game. Machi X pick up all the stragglers and walk into the base unopposed.
Yeah, it's just Hana, but as the Viego, yes, you're busted if you get resets, but you do not clear waves out well at all. That will be Machi finishing off this game, and yes, it took 41 minutes, but what a game it was.
That definitely was the closest and best game of the day. We can see Machi X memeing the Twisted Fate right here, throwing out the yellow card that found that most important kill onto Lil V there. It was a bit of a mispositioning by Lil V, but only a split second, and Machi X make J-Team pay for it. Just great execution overall. This was the most execution-intensive game that we've had all day.
Yeah, and when it comes down to a lack of engage coming in from both sides, well, then it becomes a very, very easy job for the rapid fire cannon Twisted Fate. He gets so much extra range, and if you're not going to get punished, you can freely walk up and get gold card after gold card, and that's how this game really just ends. He gets a gold card, throws it out, so much extra poke damage, and then the chase is on.
Gemini follows, Lee Kai with the slow, hits everyone on the back line, and Woody does give up a little bit early. He did have his flash. I'm just surprised that he didn't try to flash backwards instead, but does drop anyway, and Lee Kai again just baiting J-Team in. J-Team know that they can't really defend with a 4v5. They try to go for the risky play, and that's the full punish coming in for Machi.
Yeah, and that fight was still on a razor's edge, right? Because if they were able to find the deletion on Likai before the Zhonya's comes through, all of a sudden you get that first reset onto Viego. He gets to turn into Gwen of all champions as well. So you know the turn potential is there. But Likai plays it perfectly, gets the Zhonya's off just in the nick of time, and that secures the win.
And from henceforward, we will call this the Jimian. That's really nicely played by Machi X. I'm glad to have casted that game with you, Nightstar, because that one was a lot of fun. It was really, really tense.
What a way to end the day, too.
Yeah, true. It's always been that way between J-Team and Machi X. Those two teams, they definitely have a grudge against each other. They face each other all the time. Mission was ex-Machi X. And even with all those losses to the roster, I'm glad that Gemini is going to come in strong once more on this composition. And it's always great to see Rest BMing the entire game and then losing in the final push. So either way, it's a win for the viewers. I just really, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was all around just a very, very fun match. Just piling, we had so much excitement built in from earlier in the day. You just want one game where everything is down to the last moment, down to that razor's edge, the one mistake, and we got it.
Feels good to have cast a game like that one. We should be having the end game statistics coming up shortly. Definitely the longest game of the day. And, you know, I kind of want to ask your thoughts so far as our color caster here on, 11.13. After watching a full day of PCS games here, what do you think the meta is going to be like going forward?
It's going to be everyone banning Moonblack's Heimerdinger. That's what it is. Because the Heimerdinger was truly a menace here. And I think a lot of teams, when it comes to dealing with impunity as well, are just going to look at the at this Heimerdinger LeBlanc matchup and probably shy away from LeBlanc if that's the pick they would usually go for in that mid lane. But damage statistics coming out here, it is going to be Atlan dealing the most damage, of course, as the Ezreal with that long range capability, able to pump out a lot of damage. But I would say still the main playmaker on this team was G-Man with those RFC gold cards.
Yeah, it just seemed like, J-Team had a lot of vulnerable members that got caught out in all of those critical team fights. Mission in the first one, kills Lil V in the next, and then of course Woody in the final one. Likai is going to be your MVP once more, chasing forward and making sure that J-Team stays to be annihilated and allowing Machi X to clean up the game right there. 21% of his team's damage, 308, flawless game from him. And it just goes to show you that Gwen is going to be here to stay in the meta. 3 Gwen MVPs in a day.
Yeah, taking half of the MVPs for today there. Gwen, just such a powerful champion here. And if you don't know how to take those early team fights when Gwen is weak, it just becomes very problematic the later the game went. And Likai also piloted the champion to perfection, mind you, because he found those Zhonya timings insanely perfectly and also had great miss timings as well, hitting that miss at the perfect time, neutralizing a lot of the kill threat onto him, and able to survive on a knife's edge.
True. Taking a look at today's standings so far, there has been actually 0 upsets given given spring split standing, excuse me. PSG won both of their games, and we have Virginia Dragons splitting 1-1 apiece with Liab in Boom Esports. And in the Clash of Titans, Machi does come out ahead at the very, very end. So it seems like no surprises just so far, but we'll never count any team out. They could definitely still strike a lot harder. I feel like Hong Kong Attitude had a pretty good game. And upcoming tomorrow, we are going to get a double dose of Liab Gaming and also J-Team again tomorrow. So, J-Team, this should be a 2-0 for them, but Boom Esports has been able to claw one back from them in the past. So I wouldn't count that one in the bag just yet. Machi Esports versus Beyond Gaming, probably our two highest seeded teams going up against each other out of tomorrow's game. So make sure you catch on to that one. Mega Bank Beyond Gaming versus Machi Esports in the fourth game of the day.
Yeah, and I'm really looking towards that first and fourth matchup for the really big fireworks, right? In that first game, it's going to be up to Boom to try and find creative picks, or maybe just like creative plays, highlight reel-worthy plays to be able to take that against J-Team. I think the slow, methodical style should play more in favor towards J-Team, but, you know, you never know with a player like Ruby.
Yeah, I think both teams fall into that category in that they should win the game, but sometimes they don't. So it's always super exciting to see both of these teams, especially when they face up against each other. The last time they did it, it was a roller coaster. I'll just give you that one. But so far, PCS day one, I think it's been an absolute blast. We've been welcoming this new meta. I really like the dynamic picks. A lot of my worries have actually kind of faded away. I felt like a lot of the teams did not utilize flex picks very well in Spring Split, but it doesn't seem to be an issue so far in summer. Everyone has down with the program, down with 11.13. And we do see teams, I think, still trying to figure out what the best way to play in the meta is. I think for today so far, 131 still seems to be sort of the main answer that we've seen. Gwen seems to be incredibly powerful. Teams, I don't think anyone really knows how to play against a Gwen very well. It's so difficult to do. You don't do damage to her outside her mist, and then you have to respect her cooldowns, all of that. It's just way too difficult to actually deal with so far. But that's it from us from day one, and thank you to all our viewers and audience that followed us on this journey. It's been a long time back to the PCS. We know that there's been a bit of delay, but we are finally here, and we will continue week one of action all throughout the weekend. There's going to be 6 games on Saturday, 6 games on Sunday, so don't go anywhere. Mark your calendars, mark your schedule. Make sure to meet us here again on PCS Pacific Championship Series. It's been a pleasure. I've been Clement, and this has been my new co-caster, Nightstar. Thank you guys very much.